Welcome to the Eat Stop Eat audio files. I'm Brad Pilon, and this is part 1 of a 6-part audio series exploring the science behind the Eat Stop Eat lifestyle. In part 1, we will explore the science behind fasting, your metabolism, and the dreaded starvation mode. Alright, let's get started. So let's start with what we know. We know that the size and frequency of a meal is a fundamental aspect of human nutrition, and it can have profound effects on many markers of health and longevity in both human subjects and in laboratory animals. We also know that in humans, chronic excessive energy intake, or overeating, we know that it's associated with an increased incidence of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, certain cancers, and we know it's a major contributing factor to death, disability, and really suffering in almost all industrialized countries. So that being said, well, why not just eat less? Seems logical. Even better, we could eat less and eat less often. Well, there's a common belief that there is a thing called starvation mode, and that eating less or eating less often will cause us to go into starvation mode. Now, you might ask, well, what is starvation mode? That beats me. You see, it's one of my biggest pet peeves about starvation mode. It just doesn't have a clear-cut definition. From searching the net, I was able to come up with the idea that starvation mode is an adaptive survival response to a decrease in calorie intake, where your metabolism slows to a crawl, and despite the reduced calorie intake, you start to actually put on fat. Sounds pretty crazy to me, but let's investigate. To scientifically investigate starvation mode, we're going to need something to measure. Some theories we can test. So, based on its loose definition, I came up with several things that would absolutely have to happen for starvation mode to be true. First, your energy expenditure, or the amount of calories you burn per day, is going to have to be reduced as a result of dieting. Secondly, you're going to have to actually burn less fat while you're dieting. Now, we can use a measure called RQ, or respiratory quotient, and we can use that to measure the amount of fat versus carbohydrate a person is burning. If RQ is 1, you're burning predominantly carbohydrate. If it's 0.7, you're burning mostly fat. We can do this by measuring the amount of CO2 and O2 a person breathes in and breathes out. Lastly, we're going to have to look at the changes in the enzymes responsible for lipolysis, or fat being released from your fat stores. Luckily, we can look at adipose LPL and adipose HSL enzymes and see what happens to them. Adipose tissue LPL is responsible for moving free fatty acids out of your blood and into your fat stores, whereas adipose tissue HSL is responsible for moving fatty acids out of your fat stores and back into your blood. I know that was all pretty complicated, so just remember, adipose tissue LPL means fat into your fat stores. Adipose tissue HSL means fat out of your fat stores. So for starvation mode to exist, the activity or amount of adipose tissue HSL would have to decrease, while the amount of adipose tissue LPL would have to increase. If all these things happen, where your energy expenditure is reduced, your RQ doesn't change, and the changes in adipose tissue LPL and HSL favor the preservation of fat mass, then we know that starvation mode definitely exists. Alright, so let's start with energy.